But he just said they went out, and my father was, he kind of was. My father was who he was. He kind of went out with, different women. I'm just saying. I would leave it at that.
So
He was a young man.
Aretha could have been your mama.
Could have been my brother. Could have been. Yeah.
Lord.
So when he told me that, I was like, hell yeah, you threw the wrong one back. No, but I love my mother dearly, so I ain't gonna say that. So
So you about to tell us your favorite memory of Aretha
yes,
Franklin.
my brother. So check this out. Labor Day, because I'm a local vice president. So Labor Day, man, it's on 2011. And about to be President Barack Obama came to Detroit for Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we were excited. I had tickets, passed them out to the brothers and sisters at the church, the Union Hall. We all surrounded it. Man, Sister Aretha Franklin got on that stage, because she was like the opening act, so to speak, for him. Man, she did some gospel songs and some of her songs and tore that place up. But before she got into her songs, her mic wasn't right.
Mm.
And I was close enough to her where I could almost touch her. I could hear what she was saying. And she's singing a song, and as she's singing the song, in between the words, she pulled a mic away from her mouth and said, y'all got to get this right. I'm a professional. And then she would sing, and she go, y'all better get this mic right. And then she would keep singing, and then she would pull the mic back again and look back and be like, y'all better get this mic right. I don't sing like this. Man, my brother, they got the mic right. Aretha Franklin got up there and tore that place up, my brother. And that is my memory of her. She's always been a professional, my brother. Always been a professional about her art. And the one thing that I really loved about her, man, she never left Detroit, man. Everybody else took off and left. Mm-hmm. Motown started here, and if you really think about it, Aretha, she stayed, man. She stayed. She was in downtown Detroit when she passed away at the Riverfront Apartment. She was always a Detroiter, man.
She never left Detroit. You're right about that.
And she's close to my heart, man.
I can remember those times when she had to get the mic right. That was her, because she was a professional. Man, nobody want to be singing with some old messed up mic. But
right.
But the other thing too, she never forgot. A lot of people do forget where they come from. A lot of musicians, a lot of artists and whatnot forget where they come from.
Yes.
But the fact that she went back home, speaking of fathers, to care for her father.
Yep.
When he
5 years
needed her,
Yep.
It's just amazing.
Man, Aretha Franklin is. I mean, like I said, I'm sad. And here's the funny part. I grew up, like I said, I'm 51, so I grew up. Prince was my boy, man. When he passed away, I was like, oh, but you know what? This is a different kind of hurt here, my brother. Aretha Franklin, man. I mean, my aunts and them grew up on her, but man, she's an icon. I'm truly gonna miss her. And again, she was truly a Detroiter, man. When everybody else left, when Detroit was down and out, she stayed, man.
Yeah,
she stayed.
That's right.
So,
God bless.
Hey, man, God bless you too, my brother, man. Hey, you have a great show, man, and keep up the great work, man. You do great things, my brother. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you saying that, my brother. Long live the spirit of Aretha Franklin. All right, folks, we're sharing our favorite memories of Aretha Franklin this fine morning. Norm's in Toronto. Norm, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Hey, man,
Yeah, fine. I'm usually in Tampa, but I happen to be in Toronto, and I'm watching here this BBC television. They got a whole thing on Aretha Franklin, and they just did an interview with Sister Sledge, and in fact, their opening show at the CBBC starts off with memories from Aretha Franklin from around the world. But I grew up in Detroit, so I see Miss Franklin many a time, and I think my favorite song was "Will You Be?" I think it goes, "Will You Be Waiting for Me?" When
we played that when we opened the show with George Michael,
right?
The song with George Michael, which I read last night was her only number one hit, the only number one hit she had in Britain. So she was she even had a number one over there.
Yeah. So I mean, she, it's just that you say the Queen of Soul. what more can just more can you say? I'm just out of words. It's a tremendous loss, but she left a legacy. She left just a tremendous legacy, around the world. Yeah. And that's all I have to say.
Did you ever meet her?
I met her. You know what? Funny thing. I saw her. I saw her in a concert, an opera, with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. And I mean, you should talk about the range of voice. I met her during the Jesse Jackson campaign. I met her also. I had a friend who's a lawyer named Mr. Hatchett. I met her at her house. She was at his house in Bloomfield Hills, Detroit. So, I say I met her in terms of encountered her. Yes, I have. So, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Well, thank you, brother. We thank you for calling in, man, and lifting her up. The Queen of Soul. Enjoy your day, Norm.
All right.
Take care now. Tiffany's in Maryland. Tiffany, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke. Get rid of impeachment. Long live the spirit of the Queen of Soul. Tiffany, your favorite memory of Aretha Franklin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm on the younger side, in my early 30s, but I remember my mom playing her music on records when I was younger, because she would let me listen to any like current contemporary music after I got in trouble for singing Belle Biv DeVoe in church. But
you
my
sang
earliest
Belle
memory,
Biv DeVoe in church.
Yes.
Why
did.
Pray tell did you do that?
I was young, just the song just hit me. I was singing "Do Me Baby," but
okay.
I got in trouble, so I couldn't listen to too much after that. But Aretha Franklin and Earth, Wind and Fire and Patti LaBelle, music like that was what my mom played from then on at our house. But I never forget, and every time I hear that song now, it touches my heart. But when she sang "Precious Lord, Take My Hand," that's probably one of the favorite song. I know she didn't write it, but she did sing it. And every time I hear that song, it just brings tears to my eyes to hear her sing that song. I did get to see her live at President Obama's first inauguration.
Okay, you saw her at the inauguration itself.
Yes, sir. I got out there at 4:30 in the morning and got a close spot, and I was able to see her. But yeah, she was truly the Queen of Soul and incomparable, and she was part of my youth. So. Well, it's sad to see her gone, but I know she's resting in power.
No question about it. No question about it. So you remember? You say you remember your mom playing the music.
She did. We had records, and I was hurt when my mom got rid of our record player and gave our records away. But I remember all her earlier music, and she played around the house. But my favorite was probably Precious Lord.
Precious Lord. All right. Precious Lord, take my hand. All right. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
All right, folks. All right, you do the same. Your favorite memory of Aretha Franklin. That's what we're talking about right now. In lieu of Friday morning fights. Donald Trump said Aretha worked for him. That's like saying God works for me. You believe in God? Yeah, God works for me. God does whatever I want God to do. This is the Queen of Soul. The whole family could sing. I mean, there's very few families where everybody can sing. But the siblings, the father and his siblings, all of them could sing. Reverend C.L. Franklin, of course, was Aretha Franklin's father, one of the greatest preachers ever lived. And as a matter of fact, Reverend Franklin was the first preacher in modern times, actually, who recorded his sermons. We have audio recordings. Back then, people just didn't do that. They didn't have the means to do it. And then being in Detroit, he actually, Motown actually did a record or records of him preaching and his recordings. So yeah, she came from that. Her father, there was a burglary in the house one night, and her father was shot. He almost died. And Aretha stayed home, came back home to Detroit to take care of her father as he was paralyzed, and I believe he was even in a coma for a number of years. And, that was her dedication. There was always also this thing back in the day about leaving the church and going into the secular world to sing. And sometimes that was frowned upon. That was considered a form of blasphemy. Mahalia Jackson never sang secular music. She just wouldn't do it. Sam Cooke left the church. Aretha left, but then she never did, because her music still always sounded so spiritual. And she was probably, Donny Hathaway left. And honestly, Donny Hathaway sounded spiritual as well. But it was for Aretha, because of the sound of her voice, I think there wasn't as much anger and resentment toward her over time when it came to her departure and going into the secular world, because she was still able to touch in so many ways and still able to make that difference. So we remembering her this morning with you. What are your favorite memories of Aretha Franklin? We've got a few celebrities that are going to be calling in this morning, so we look forward to that also. And I think probably the two greatest musicians of our generation, this lifetime in which we all live now, were Michael Jackson and Aretha Franklin. Prince and Stevie Wonder right in there. Whitney's there. But there was nobody like Aretha, because she touched every genre of music. Spiritual, gospel, blues, jazz, R&B, soul, rock and roll, and even classical, when she sang in place of Luciano Pavarotti at the Grammys. That was something to behold, and blew us all away. Your favorite memories of Aretha Franklin here this morning. Kevin's in Maryland. Kevin, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke. Get ready for impeachment.
Hey, God bless you, Mark. Good morning. I just want to say I'm not upset this morning. I always call you, and I'm always upset about the voting thing. But I just want to say we got to put that aside for the Queen today, man. I'm always calling and telling us good. But I just want to say how she moved me. See, I canvassed for Barack Obama when he was a candidate. I knocked on doors, I called, I donated in the seat, and I shook his hand. But at that inauguration, when she sung that song, it just showed, and they played it the other day, and it brought tears to my eyes, because I see how she was able to bring the country together compared to today. You know what I mean? It just speaks to volumes that how she sung in that soulful sound, that gospel, just is amazing. It's bringing tears to my eyes now.
That's good. That's a good observation. You're right.
Yeah. And I just want to say, Mark, you mentioned how Dump talked about how she worked for him, but did you look at what the Obamas put out yesterday? How eloquent it was. You know what I mean?
Well, everybody else, the Obamas were eloquent. The Clintons were eloquent.
Right.
And he said, she worked for me. She worked for me.
She dead. And she dead. He said.
That's what he did. That's the first thing he said. The Queen of Soul is Aretha Franklin is dead.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Come on. It's like, and I'm gonna tell you what someone said something. And you know, I'm not even gonna mess her day up with this fool. I'm not even gonna go there. But I just appreciate her and just so much. And it just every time I saw her yesterday, man, tears came to my eyes. And I just think that how she brought so many people together to listen to her songs. And I tell you, I missed her today, and I'm just glad what she did that day on Inauguration Day. And you look at that sea of crowd, it was so many, and the country was so together then. It was just black, white, Hispanic, Indian, every walk of life was out there. And for her to sing that song, man, I would love to hear you play it. That's just if you can. You may can't, but just think it was a beautiful song. And, I think
My Country, 'Tis of Thee.
Yeah, man. We need that. Let's hear that, man, because you know what? That's what this country needs right now, because we are one country under God. You know what I mean? She didn't see no race, no color. She sung. You know what I mean? She sang. And I would love to hear that, man, if you could any time today.
We'll get to it. So the Obamas said, this is what the Obamas tweeted. Knowing Aretha was being graced with a glimpse of the divine. The Clintons said, one of America's greatest national treasures. Trump said, she worked for me.
Right. This man, he has no empathy.
She just some servant. But see, that's how he thinks of black women, because Omarosa worked for him.
Right.
We just workers. Just maids and Beulah, Mammy, Butterfly McQueen, Hattie McDaniel, Gone with the Wind.
Right.
That's all y'all are. Just some workers. She worked for me.
What he started to realize is Mahalia Jackson came to her church, and people don't remember. Mahalia Jackson? Oh, come on, man. Come on. And these are the people she was tutored under. They mentored her, man.
Yeah, no, the greatest came through Detroit and sang in that church.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And she was a beneficiary sitting at their feet. You're right.
Exactly. You couldn't have said it no better, Mark.
Hey, look, I'm gonna get some other call, but listen, somebody said because then people started the Trumpeteers started posting pictures of Aretha and Trump together at some of these big events, and somebody posted a picture, and it said Queen of Soul with the traitor who has no soul. But that's like,
this man, he has no empathy, man. You can see it's false because there's no meaning behind the statement. You know what I mean? He called Omarosa a dog the day before or 2 days before, and then he wanted to praise Aretha Franklin, the same black woman, a black woman. I don't get it. I'm just taken back, man. I'm just taken back. I thank you, Mark, for
thank you, man. Enjoy your day. Long live the Queen.
All right.
Long live the Queen.
Brother.
Amen.
Exactly.
Amen. 866-99 says Neil's in Buffalo. Neil, God bless you. Good morning. Get ready for impeachment. Long live the Queen. Your favorite memory of Aretha Franklin?
Mark, my favorite memory. By the way, I'm not a first-time caller. I'm a second-time caller. And the first time I called was when Dick Gregory died. So I have a question regarding Dick Gregory and Aretha, but I'll get to that in a second. My all-time favorite Aretha song was when I was entering college in 1971, and right after that, the track Rock Steady came out. And that song had such an impact on me, had moved me so much that to this day, I just turned 65, it still moves me. And when she was ill a couple of days ago and it was announced that she was gravely ill, I went to YouTube, and I found it. She did that song on, you probably remember, on Soul Train.
Yeah.
She performed. Yeah, it was really neat to see that, and Don Cornelius. But
and we used to do the Soul Train line to Rock Steady.
Right.
That was a nasty song. Nasty.
Mark, I tell you, that song to this day has an impact on me. It moves me. I don't know, maybe because of when it came out, just as I was starting college. But Rock Steady is it for me. And I just read in the Detroit Free Press, they had a list this morning of its top 10 Aretha songs, and all this. Obviously, there's so many. Rocksteady wasn't on there. I said, I've got to give Rocksteady equal time somewhere. So you've given me the opportunity.
That's right. You got to give it equal time.
As far as you know, did Dick Gregory and Aretha ever cross paths?
Of course,
did they
yes.
get to know each other?
Yes. Yeah, they did. They did. Of course, they did. They sure did.
Yeah.
And Aretha was very involved in the civil rights movement.
Of course.
She supported the Black Panther Party. She supported the Nation of Islam. She supported Angela Davis, offered to pay her bail.
Right.
That's what Aretha did. And
without fanfare, by the way, without fanfare.
Right. No, she just did her job. And when Dr. King needed to raise money, Aretha would go on tour and raise money for Dr. King for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. She
was so generous.
Yeah. She said, Black people buy my records and come to my concerts. And he said, you all are fighting for Black people, so I'm going to help. This is Black people's money. I'm just giving it right back where it belongs. That's how she felt about it.
Yeah. Well, she was loyal, and as one of your callers said a few minutes ago, she always hung in there with Detroit. Never left Detroit. Didn't go to Hollywood for any extended period of time. Was a Detroiter throughout her life.
Yeah, and securing herself that way.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you, Neil.
I'll never met her.
You say you never met her?
I did not, but I will never forget her.
Oh, you never forget? Okay, yeah. No, we know. How could we? The one thing about being...
I was also interested, in Diana Ross, who's also a Detroiter. We know that, and different venue, that sort of thing.
Right.
And she had a nice tribute. She tweeted something out about Aretha just as the news came yesterday. I thought that was sort of neat. Diana Ross had something to say, and
that's great.
From one Detroiter to another, I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, man. Enjoy your day.
Mark. Good speaking with you again.
Good speaking with you, too. 866-99-SIRIUS. Those of you who are watching us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube can't hear the music. So you need to turn on the radio if you want to hear the music that we have. And of course, you want to follow on Instagram and even hear some of the music. You can hear the music on Instagram. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube make it plain. On Instagram, folks, it is Minister with 2 T's. All right, that's how you can find us. Jesse's in Kansas. Jesse, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke. Your favorite memory? Your favorite memory of Aretha Franklin?
Yes, sir. Hey, man. First of all, I want to say I'm proud of you guys and the work you guys do, and I'm dang sure ready for impeachment.
Get ready.
And I seen her once in Kansas City, Missouri. It was a Motown review, and it was supposed to be the Temptations, I think the Four Tops, and Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder, it was something happened. He couldn't make it. Aretha came there wanting to see Stevie because it's when Stevie, first broke out. Me and him was pretty much about the same age, and we had similar looks. And she stepped up to the plate, man, and filled in for that slot. Stevie wasn't there. But I'm from the capital city of Kansas, and my cousins used to live in the Kansas University area, KU. And I used to kind of semi-date this little pretty young Hispanic lady in Lawrence, and just unfortunate for me, she was one of the local bad girls. And my cousin was in a singing group. He was a singer, and every time I would come up and start, wanting to see the girl, and he would always sing the song, Chain, 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 Chain of Fools. It was so cool. And I loved all her music, man. What can I say, man? I grew up in the 50s, 60s, and I think she must have been on Jet magazine so many times and everything. But I'm a pure soul man, and I want to say one thing, and I'm so proud of you guys and the work you do and your staff. Trump, if you're listening, you're going to jail, son. You're going to jail. And you know what, Trump? If you're listening, I'm here in Kansas. I live 65 miles from Fort Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary. I'm going to be the welcome aboard committee with a big old sign when they finally bring your butt to Kansas.
What do you think? What Aretha song you think Paul Manafort is listening to right about now?
Oh,
in his cell.
Well,
he might be listening to some gospel.
yeah, but I don't understand all this.
Folk get religion when they get in the joint.
Yeah, Yeah, he gonna find it all right. Him and the rest of the Trump posse, all of them need to be here in Kansas, right there, Fort Leavenworth. All of them, every single one of them. The last time I talked to you, I used to drive back and forth from Reno, Nevada to Kansas when I was living in Nevada, and I used to always call you my co-pilot, man, because I had a broken radio and I had to drive to Utah and Wyoming and listen to all those "She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain" songs and the nasty folks on the CB trucker, and I finally bought a brand new car.
She be coming around the mountain when she comes.
Yeah,
I know that's right.
Yeah, it's like Utah, Wyoming. It's like, oh my God,
Lord have
Kansas,
mercy.
You know, it's like the only soul station we had was out of Kansas City, Missouri, and you had to have a real good antenna to pick that up. But when I got XM Sirius, oh my God, and I found you, started listening to you, and every time I'd make that road trip, man, I'd make those miles fly by. I think I called you one time. I was about halfway home. And we got to talk briefly and everything because you had to go. But, hey, man, I really, really appreciate y'all's work you do.
Thank you, man.
You and your whole staff, man. And
thank you.
I try not to miss a show. If I do, I'll catch you on the replay. And like I say, Trump, if you listen, and another thing, I keep telling people about Trump. He's a fake, phony billionaire. He got fake black friends. He calls himself friends. Every one of his friends he called black are entertainers.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. And I've never seen. I served in the Air Force and the Navy for 21 years. I'm so proud of that Navy SEAL admiral that stepped up to the plate and said, if you're gonna do that to the CIA, what was it, Bremer? If you're gonna pull his security clearance, then I'll be proud to say you can pull mine too.
Well, you're right. The man that did the Bin Laden, he said, pull my clearance too.
That's right.
And that's right. That's a hell of a thing.
I've never seen, in my 60-plus years of living on this earth, I've never seen such a phony, a scam artist, con man supreme, straight off the street corners of New York City. And I'll tell anybody to get up on my face what great job he's doing. What a joke. That's a joke.
You're right.
He's nothing but a con man. He's a crook. He needs to be right here in Kansas, right? A place called Fort Leavenworth.
I know that's right. Jesse, I got to run, man. But look, thank you for calling in, man.
Right on, bro.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right. Take care now. We're remembering Aretha Franklin. All Aretha, all morning. We got to take a quick commercial break on the radio. We'll come right back. Stay tuned. If you call me, though, I'll pick up even while we're on the break. Sirius XM Progress 127. Resistance Radio. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. All Aretha, all morning. Remembering the Queen. Your remembrances for her. We'll be back. Those of you on Instagram, we're in a commercial break. Everybody, we're in a break right now. So stay tuned. We'll come back. We'll get to more of your calls. 866-99-SIRIUS. Do not go anywhere. And you give us a call. Feel free to make your comments as well. We'll try to read some of them, too.
Videos ended because it made music.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Okay, that's what it is.
I have been out of audition.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. 866-99 Serious. Your favorite memories of Aretha Franklin. What? What?
There she is. I just looked up.
There's something right here. I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
But the image of her wasn't there all morning, was it?
Yeah.
I did not see it before. I don't know what. I saw all Aretha all morning. Mark has a graphic behind him, and I thought he just put the picture of Aretha on it, but apparently it's been there all morning.
That's right.
I guess I just finished my cup of coffee, so that's maybe why I'm just noticing.
That affects your eyesight?
It affects my absorption of the scenery around me, yes. I am certified clueless until I have had caffeine. Yeah, I do need you to say a little prayer for me.
You know what's the funny thing about that song? The part where it says, each morning I wake up before I put on my makeup.
Yeah.
We were singing as dudes because you couldn't change the lyrics. And I always felt funny about that. But it was just a good song, you know?
It's a great song.
Each morning I wake up before I put on my makeup.
Well, if the shoe fits.
We'll take a break. We'll come right back. Favorite memories of Aretha Franklin. Don't go away. Series 6 in progress, 127. This is MIP. Coming back from break, everybody. Aretha. Give us a call. Share your comments. All Aretha all morning. Your favorite memories of Aretha Franklin. Top of the hour, your favorite memories of Aretha Franklin. We're going to be hearing from friends and peers and colleagues and admirers. One such person who may as well be a Detroiter. Joe Madison is with us. Joe, is it appropriate to say that you're a Detroit? I mean, you spent most of your life there, didn't you?
Oh, of course, born and reared. And first of all, good morning.
Good morning, man.
Having me on. Born and reared in Dayton, Ohio.
Right.
So, Dayton's not going to let me go. And then I, went away to school for 4 years, and then came back to Dayton for a quick, hot minute, and then moved to Detroit. And that was about 20 years, and so ran the NACP there, the Detroit chapter and the national political department, because we kept the office there. Yeah, man, Detroit and I was there doing that whole transition with Mayor Coleman Young.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question, short answer is yes. And I knew Reverend C.L. Franklin.
Yes, sir.
Because of my civil rights activities in Detroit. I knew him, and he was a big supporter. And then later, when Aretha moved back to Detroit, because CL, I don't know if most people know this, he was shot.
Yeah.
Because somebody was breaking into his home trying to steal. Now get this, the lead out of lead glass windows in their beautiful home, and shot him, and he stayed in a coma for years. And she came back home and nursed him and took care of him, and then that's when we really got to know each other. So yeah, man, and Detroit is where I ran for city council, ran for city clerk. That's where I got my political chops.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What was it like knowing her and getting to know her so well?
Oh, it was like having a sister, and I say that, and that is, if Aretha really had people she respected, but you had to earn that respect. I'm going to tell you, if she ended up respecting you, and it was all based, I think, on her background and her longevity with the civil rights movement. She understood that there's a new generation of spokespersons and leaders. And if she respected you, she was committed to you, not only in terms of the work you did, but as a friend. I mean, and she was one of these people that, you know, at least with our relationship, if you did something that she didn't like, she might stop speaking to you.
Is that right?
Oh man, what was it? I can't remember. It was, I know. I had said something about her hat. That I said, you know, your performance at Obama's inauguration was outstanding. You ought to put that on, you know, and record it, and you ought to sell it. And she said, Joseph, we don't sell things. This is inappropriate. And you know, I said I didn't realize it. You know, and then she just stopped talking to me. Then you know, a couple of years later, she called out of the clear blue sky. Hey, baby,
really?
I haven't talked to you. Yeah, baby, I haven't talked to you in a while. I said, well, you know, you stopped taking my calls. Well, you know, you so and so and so. So she was Sister Reed, and that's what we always said. She was Reed, you know, and that's how we always talk. But Mark, I heard you asking for. I'm gonna tell you this quick story. Can you tell me when it's time? Okay, and I'll shut up.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So she and we played this matter of fact this morning we're going to do on my show an hour. I think it's the 9 o'clock hour interviews we did with her. There's like 3 or 4 of them, but she used to have these holiday parties.
Okay.
And they would be in the lower level of her house. I once said to her, "Man, we had just a great time, Ree, in the basement at your." She said, she said, Joe, excuse me. Where I live out here in Bloomfield Hills, we do not refer to it as a basement. It is the lower level. And she said it, you know, in humor. But let me tell you, so she had these parties. So everybody's there. Smokey's there. The Four Tops are there. You know, everybody, the city officials, just all her friends and folks. And she all the food you want to eat. Well, Mark, and I know you don't eat chitlins, but some people do. And she would have just a layout of all the food you want, including chitlins. So Levi Stubbs and I are like first in line to get us a plate, and we find out there's no hot sauce. And Aretha, you don't have any hot sauce here. And she said, oh, I forgot the caterer didn't bring it. Man, it was a cold Michigan snowy night out there in the white suburbs of Bloomfield Hills, and Levi said, let's get in the car. We're going to find some Frank hot sauce. And I'm running around Bloomfield Hills with Levi Stubbs looking for a grocery store that's open late at night to find some Frank hot sauce. And we get back and say, they probably done ate up all the chitlins. And we get there and find out them folks had not touched one of them chitlins until we brought that hot sauce. In
They didn't even want to put their hands on them, huh?
No, man. But you know, so you know, it's memories like that, and my memories. I'll be honest with you, I can't talk about them on my show, and I can't talk about them on your show.
Okay.
Because they were. I'm not. Hey, I'm not like Omarosa. I don't take my conversations. and we would just have conversations about people. Right. You know, we'd have conversations about Jesse. We'd have conversations about this president. We'd have conversations about this incident. But I will tell you this, and everybody ought to understand this. She was a consumer of news. I'm telling you now, and she would listen to my show. She would watch news. I mean, I'm telling you, and that's how she would call. And we would talk about, you got to do this, you should do that. She followed news. We marched, did a voter registration march years ago in the mid-'80s. We walked from Los Angeles to Baltimore to register people to vote. We called it the Overground Railroad. And she would call about every other day. Are you all right? Do you need money? She would send money to make sure we got from one city to the other. But she was a consumer of politics and news because she'd perform. But let me tell you, she was a consumer of current events.
Yeah.
And I know all the presidents alive have sent messages, and I know that Trump. It was interesting to hear his message. You know what? And I always tell people, Mark, listen with a third ear.
Yeah.
All the other presidents, we miss you. We love you. Thank you for everything you did. And what was his message? Think about it.
Right.
What was his message?
She worked for me.
Worked for me.
Right.
I'll be damned.
Unbelievable.
And it always has to. It's always. It always has to be about him.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I guess I finally broke down last night, and just realized how all the way to the end, even in her sickness, she was always a consumer of current events and news.
Yeah.
She did have her opinions, and sometimes, so she would act on her. I said this, Mark. I said this yesterday to someone. Somebody said, "How would she be? Would she think she'd want to be remembered?"
Uh-huh.
She once told me. We were analyzing the show, and I was talking about the trolls that would call, God, Aretha, people don't like this, people don't like that. She said, Joe, you think they like every song I produce? I said, yeah, She says, I get the same thing. Now we're talking about how great she is, but she said there's some folk that don't like me doing this or doing that.
Right.
And she said, I want you to remember three things. That is that you want to be 1, authentic, 2, original, and 3, daring.
Yeah.
Authentic, original, and daring. And when you think about all the things we've talking about since her passing, look how daring she was when she went out and sung opera after a couple hours rehearsal. That's daring.
Yeah.
And original. And what I mean by that, when you heard Aretha, I don't care whose song it is. I think it was Berry Gordy who said last night, she could sing the ABC song we all learned in primary school and make a hit out of it.
That's right. She sure could. She sure could.
And you would know, Mark, that was Aretha. So she was original. Every time you heard a song, it was original. And then she was authentic. And that came from her upbringing, that gospel upbringing in her church. Now, I would add one other, and make it this is one other comment, and that is she was committed. And I'm telling you, she was committed to her causes.
Yeah.
And she was committed to her music. And what I mean by that is people talk about she was a natural singer. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. I think there's a certain gift. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. But I know that she would spend 8-10 hours rehearsing one song. Now, people think that, she just shows up on stage or she goes into a studio. There's a record producer. Matter of fact, he ended up being president of a black bank in Detroit. Don Davis is his name. Good brother. And just one of her biggest producers and businessman and close friend. And Don would tell me Aretha would come into a studio and 8, 9, 10 hours, one song. One song.
Dedicated.
So,
but that's that thing they always say about us.
Right.
They say it about black athletes too. We just natural. We don't put the work and the practice and the intellect into it. So, it's good to hear that. You're right. People would say, she just wake up in the morning and start singing.
No,
she was a professional. She was a professional.
I've been over, That's right, Mark. And I've been over her house sometimes, and you know, and she'll take a break. We'll laugh and talk about people, you know, and then we would she'd go right back to the piano, and you could sit there, or else you'd talk with her children, you know, or you know, her friends, but she would be at that piano, and she would be rehearsing and got it down to it till it was perfect. And then, you know, of course everybody knows the stories of how she wouldn't go on stage until she got her money up front. You know about that, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. The promoters in the early days would stiff these entertainers, particularly black entertainers. They go on, perform, wouldn't get their money afterwards. And she learned from the older entertainers like James Brown, you get the money before you go on stage.
That's right.
Because it's like eating. Once you eat the food, it's gone.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
You get your money up front. And last time I was at a concert was in Washington, D.C. You know, the Stratmore.
Yeah.
You know that, out in suburbs.
Yeah.
And the concert was delayed for an hour because the promoters didn't have her money.
Wow.
And I was backstage with her before, and I knew something was real. The air was tense. And I was going to leave, and she said, no, I'm going to tell you what's going on, Joe. And, you know, she said, these folks going to have to get their act together because I'm not going out there until I get my money.
I know that's right.
And she would wait, man. She'd wait till the box office closed, and they either brought the cash out or wrote a check. and so I went back to my seat, and I'm waiting, and I told Sherry, you know, I said, she's not coming out of here because I bet you it's a money thing back there.
Yeah.
And so, sure enough, her significant other, who was her manager of her band, walks out on stage with a big purse and puts it at the foot of the piano bench. And then 2 minutes later, Aretha walks out, starts the show.
Wow.
And that bag is sitting right there.
It's sitting right there. She got the money.
Right there, brother. Right
no,
there.
That's what I respect. She probably learned that from Mahalia too, because I know there's Mahalia. Because Mahalia didn't play that way either.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's the thing, kind of, you know, things people, you know, didn't know. But
so Joe, you gonna air your interviews with her this morning?
Yeah, at 9 Eastern time.
9 Eastern.
What we did, we went to my archives and pulled out 3 interviews that I did. One was what she thought about Nelson Mandela, I think when he passed away, and she talked about. The second one was talking about performing at the inauguration for Obama.
Right.
And then the third one is when I did the marathon, and we stayed on there for 52 hours.
Right.
To raise money for the museum,
Mm-hmm.
the African American Museum. She was the first person who said, "I'll be there for you," and came and during the marathon, and we talked to her. And you're going to hear Aretha in a very casual conversation, but what she thought about certain people, certain leaders, what she thought about when she first met Obama, even before he ran for president, so it's that will be, and it's going to be the whole hour. So, but I've been up. I'm here at Martha's Vineyard doing the show, and so I was up early and listening to, people calling in. But
well, thank you, man. Folks, Urban View. This is a great loss. Joe knew her personally as well, and God bless you and Sherry, man. And folks, check out the Black Eagle on Sirius XM Urban View in the 9 a.m. Eastern hour. He's going to air some of his interviews with Aretha Franklin. We encourage you all to listen. And throughout the weekend, for the next week, Sirius XM Channel 49, Soul Town has become the Aretha Franklin tribute channel. So you can listen to her music 24 hours a day for the next
I'll
for the next
definitely
week.
be tuning into that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But thank you, man. And
thank you, Joe.
And I'll talk to you when we get back. We have one more show tonight. So, and a lot of folk have been telling me to tell you hello. And
well, give everybody my love, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all here, boy.
I know.
They come down here, man.
I got to go up there with you next year.
Yeah,
so,
I hear you. All righty.
Thank you, Joe. Joe Madison, folks, the Black Eagle. Thank you. Joining us now, another dear friend of Aretha Franklin's, the great Roland Martin. Roland, good morning to you, buddy.
Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Fine. How you feel this morning?
All good, man. All good. You know, it's a little tough because on this day 2 weeks ago, I was in Detroit, and I was there for the National Association of Black Journalists, and I talked with one of Aretha's closest associates, and was aware of her declining health, and so I knew that that death was imminent, and so I didn't. You know, even though I'm a journalist, I have respect for the Queen and for her family, and chose not to publicly reveal that information. You know, a lot of people would have run out and immediately posted it, and
right.
And my whole deal was, I didn't have to do that, and so I had respect for her, and so even when on Sunday when Roger Friedman posted his story, all the details he had, I was aware of those details, and so I posted something on social media. So it was tough knowing that the end was near, and I told a few folks who I knew she was close with, so they would not be hit hard by it. But the thing is, you know, I said this to somebody yesterday, and I think the reason I think we react differently to the passing of Aretha Franklin is different than when I think Prince, Whitney Houston, and Michael Jackson passed away. It's because for each of them, they were in their 50s. Their deaths were immediate. They were all drug overdoses. I think for the Queen, she lived 76 years old.
Yeah.
And this one was a fighter. Look, I think people understand. 94% of people with pancreatic cancer die within 2 or 3 years.
They do. That's right.
She lived 8 years after being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Also, Pavarotti passed away of the exact same thing. You're thinking Nessun Dorma, her singing at the 1998 Grammys. Pavarotti also passed away of pancreatic cancer. I talked to Donna Richardson, who was very good friends with her, and Donna was one of her girlfriends, and she said, you know, Aretha was in a lot of pain a lot of times, but she never talked about it. And Mark, I'm telling you, whenever she would cancel a concert, I would call the Queen, I would text her, and I would just say, Queen, are you okay? How you doing? Just checking on her. And in fact, Mark, I'm gonna pull up for a second here. Some tweets. Not some tweets, some text messages, because we literally we would text back and forth. I mean, what's crazy, man, I met her, Mark, in 2007. She sent an email to my office telling me how much she appreciated my work on television. And my agent, Mark Watts, he thought it'll make some people doing a prank. Then her office called to make sure we got the email. He was like, okay, Roll, that email was real. And I met her in 2008 when she performed in L.A. At the Nokia Center. And some friends of mine had some tickets, and so I was happy to be in town, so we went. And then after the concert, I was like, well, let's just try to go backstage and say hey. And so she did send me this email. It worked. So then we go back, and then she was like, you know, why didn't you she said, you should let somebody know that you were here. I would have acknowledged you from the stage. And I was like, wow. And ever since then, man, so she made sure I had her numbers, and we would talk, and we would text, and we would just we would just talk about she would talk about politics. She could not stand Trump. She hated the direction the country was going in. We would talk about food, all kind of stuff, Doc. And on New Year's Eve, I posted this last night, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
She sent me a text almost around 11 p.m. and it was amazing what she sent. And she was thanking me. This is what she said. Roland Martin, you're one of the baddest brothers out here. Mike Dyson, Roland, C.O. Franklin, Tavis Smiley, etc. You kicked butt so bad on MSNBC. Read a history book and broke it down to its most minute. He didn't even have any business talking to you. She said, I don't know who I was debating. She goes, he's going to duck every time he sees you. Happiest of New Year's. Then she goes, isn't there a conspiracy against the baddest brothers? What do you think, Cornel West? And then, of course, she goes, I can't bring it up another way. Where's that gumbo? Because I sent her a picture of some gumbo I had on Thanksgiving and then some on Christmas. And, man, for 4 months, Mark, she would text me, Roland, where that gumbo? I need some gumbo. And the last text message she sent me, Mark, was on March 17th. I texted her when Dennis Edwards died. She said, take good care. Yes, one of the great voices of our time. I said, you doing okay? Are you getting your strength back? She says, yes, coming along. Then I asked about having to cancel her concerts. She says, doing much better. Thank you for your thoughtfulness. Bring that gumbo for 4, LOL. I said, I'm on it. And then she went, I'll make the cornbread. Then she went, gumbo for 6, okay? And I went working on it. And that was the last text that she sent me. And that was on March 17th at 3:58 p.m. And I would text her each month after that. And that's when I knew she was declining. Because she didn't respond to any of my text messages or calls.
Oh, bless her heart. Bless her heart. The Queen of Soul, folks, we remember her. Folks, we want to mention, too, Roland, and I know Aretha would have been there to support him. Roland Martin Unfiltered is going to premiere on September 4th, right, my brother?
Yep, that's right. It will be launching the daily digital show. It'll be streaming on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube on September 4th. Man, looking forward to it. And you're right. The Queen would have been right there supporting. She was a news junkie. People don't realize.
Yeah, that's what Joe Madison was just saying. She was a news junkie.
She listened to talk radio. I mean, that was her thing, man. And it's just the thing. And it's so funny. Somebody asked me. They said, I told them. I said, well, I hadn't cried. I said the reason I hadn't cried. I said because the Queen's music brought joy to us. I said she lived a full life. I mean, this is a woman who was earmarked for greatness at the age of 4. 60 years in the business. And so the tears that I have shed was when she sang Natural Woman at the Kennedy Center Honors, and then when she took that fur coat out and Carole King was just like just keep singing it, and so her music brought joy. I just love the memories, man, of just the conversations we had. Mark, one time after I did that commentary on Wendy Williams, and it's 12:30 at night, Mark. Now I'm asleep. Okay, I got to be up at 4:30 in the morning to go do my TV One show, and the phone rings, and I'm like, who is this calling me from 248? Then I answer the phone, Roland, Aretha. Boy, that commentary you did on Wendy Williams, you tore that girl up. Doc, she go, and mind you, when you tired, you can't tell the Queen, hey, I'm gonna call you back tomorrow.
Right.
So, man, for 20 minutes, Mark, she on the phone.
Wow.
And she is just talking about the commentary. We talking about politics. We talking about all kind of stuff. But she also was considerate. When she performed in D.C., Mark, this is unbelievable. I couldn't go because I had a speech. And so I told her that my 2 nieces wanted to really meet her because they loved her music. And she appreciated the next generation loving her music. So she said, we'll get taken care of. And so she said, I have 3 tickets set aside, and I'll meet them. And so she said, I'm going to have her, either her grandson or her son, I can't remember who she said. So she said, I'm going to have them taken care of. So, Mark, so they go. And so at the end of my speech, I text my wife. I said, hey, how was it? How did they enjoy meeting the Queen? She said, well, we didn't get a chance to. I said, what happened? She said, well, Michelle Obama and Attorney General Eric Holder were at the concert, and they went backstage, and Secret Service cleared everybody out. And so the next day, I get a phone call. Bro, Aretha. I said, Queen, how you doing? She says, what happened to your nieces? I said, well, this is what happened. They tried to reach so-and-so. And she says, let me call you right back. Dude, she called me back 10 minutes later, tells me to apologize. She cussed out her family member. She said, look, I told you to take care of his nieces and bring them to me. Now, I don't care if the First Lady or the Attorney General were there. Your job was to do what I told you to do and have them take care of Roland's nieces for me to meet.
Wow.
Bro, she called me back to make it clear that she didn't appreciate that to him. She said, now, when I tell you to do something, I expect you to do
it. Yeah, she was clear and direct. Yeah.
Bruh, you talk about when she performed at Essence in 2012, Mark, I get a call on Tuesday, Roland, Aretha. I'm like, Queen, how you? And she said, and I want you to be honest. What did the show sound like? Mark, okay, Aretha Franklin is asking me what it sound like. You can't say, well, Queen, the sound was jacked up, and the sound was jacked up for the first 30 minutes of the show.
Okay.
And she said, no, I want you to be honest. And I'm like, well, Queen, we were on the fifth row, and it was muffled, the speaker and everything. She said, you know what, I thought so. She said, I'm listening to the playback right now. She said, let me call you back. I need to go fire this engineer. I'm like, I just called this dude his job. But that's what she would just have regular conversations. But it was always interesting because you ain't know, like, where's she coming from? But she was clear, like, she still was about her craft and how the music sounded for her audience.
And she was the consummate professional. Roland Martin, folks, don't forget to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered September 4th. We'll talk again, too, before then.
Yes, sir.
My brother, I guess we don't know about any arrangements yet either. I guess it's too soon. But
so they are. We'll know those in a few days. But it is going to be a mega celebration.
Right.
And what I will say, what I do know is it won't be just one day.
Oh yeah. I guess it won't be.
So
it couldn't be. It couldn't.
No, it's gonna be. It's gonna be huge in Detroit. I talked to her niece last night, Sabrina, and had a great conversation with her and her memories. And I talked to Will Wilkerson, who was, of course, and folks, do me a favor, y'all, pray for Will Wilkerson. That brother was at her side for 30 years. Her band, her family members, and so for us, we lost a great artist, a great friend, but for them, they lost a loved one.
That's right.
And it's hard to lose an icon like that.
Right.
When you just know her as aunt, or just know her as Aretha, the friend. And so just keep those folks in your prayers.
The matriarch of the family, indeed.
Yes,
thank you, Roland.
yes.
Thank you, brother. Love you, man. Take care. Take care now. 866-99 Sirius, folks. Joining us now, musician, also a native Memphis. A lot of people don't know. We talk about Detroit all the time, but Aretha was actually born in Memphis, Tennessee. My next guest knows my family. My family knows him and his brother Kirk. Kevin Whalum is here with us. Kevin, how are you, my brother?
I'm good, Mark. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How you feeling today?
As good as we can be on the day after the Queen goes home.
Yeah. How you feeling about that, man?
Man, I was prepared. I think we all were, because we had been kind of told to brace ourselves and whatnot. But man, when you lose somebody who literally put sounds in play that had not previously been put in play.
Right.
She was singing runs and putting church music, church runs and gospel feelings in music, a lot like Ray Charles did into R&B and soul music, and validating those genres by doing so. And I'm trying to tell you, today there aren't five women who can do what she did in her heyday.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some talented people out here. Don't get me wrong, but Aretha was the prototype, man. I mean, she was so original and so gutsy. You know what I mean? That gospel record from the early '70s, that Amazing Grace record, when she told the story of Lazarus, and I'm trying to tell you, man, that kind of stuff was on rotation in my career.
I know that's
all the time, not just on Sunday, but all the time. And so, she's gonna leave a hole, and the only thing that we can hope to do is honor her by not trying to mimic her, but by using the influence that she left us and kind of putting that in our music.
And having respect for the whole history, because, her work spanned every genre of music.
Right.
And really, you brothers, you and Kirk embody that. I mean, you doing the gospel according to jazz. Aretha was singing spiritual, gospel, the blues, jazz, soul, rhythm and blues, rock and roll,
and pop, even.
And pop. And so there was nothing. I don't think there's been any artist as versatile and as successfully versatile as Aretha Franklin. Folks have always tried to cross over and do different types of things, but Aretha had the smoothest transitions, even when she sang classical, for God's sake, standing in for Pavarotti.
Right, and she could do it seamlessly because of her roots.
Yeah,
I'm always holding up for my city, right? Memphis is in me, all over me, is part of my everyday. Even though I don't live there anymore, it is part of my everyday life in thought and in deed. And she was born there. Now, she was raised in Detroit, and Detroit, of course, is a mecca of black music. I'll never take anything away from it, but so is Memphis.
Yeah.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. Maurice and his brothers were born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee.
That's
Isaac Hayes, was raised in Memphis. So Al Green. I mean, we've got a stout package of musicians as well. And I think that Aretha, because my grandmother, here's something that, I don't know if you know this, Mark, but my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, Lily Mae Marshall, sang in the choir at C.L. Franklin's church when he pastored in Memphis when Aretha was a baby.
Is that right?
And she could sing her butt off. My grandmother probably sang more songs in Aretha's face than we would even know. I mean, she had that raspy voice, that soulful delivery my grandmother did, and very shortly after he left Memphis for Detroit, I think Aretha took to singing, more openly and in front of people. So, man, that Memphis connection is there. I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm proud that Aretha was a part of it, and I'll never be able to hold anybody else up as highly as I held Aretha.
Amen. And how blessed we all were, Brother Kevin, to have been living at a time to know her and to hear her. There'll never be another like her,
Never.
It's amazing.
And that isn't to put off on these young folk coming up, because I never want to make young folk think they'll never be good enough. God knows I don't want to do that, but I want them to have a reverence
of course,
for who came before them, and to look at it and listen to it and learn from it and feel what she put down and then put it in their own music.
And at best, I mean, maybe they can aspire to what she did. It's just hard now because in the industry, there's just not a lot of room to move between the genres. Now, y'all doing it, and that's incredible. But shoot, y'all didn't come out the womb doing that. Look how long it's taken you all to get folk to look. We got to do this. We got to do the gospel according to jazz.
Right.
I mean that was work.
Right.
You had to get there for folk to understand that.
That's right. And you just have to live by example. You can't force it on people. 'Cause people are going to have.
That's right.
their problems. You know, people were raised a certain way. They hold on to those beliefs, and until you can show them, man, you're not gonna burn in hell if you if you listen to this music. I mean, it's just not gonna happen. So yeah,
but
you're
you
right.
know what I think, Kevin? I think Aretha was the one to save us, because if you think about it, she was the last one. You know, everybody else got beat up leaving the church to go sing secular. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Aretha was the one where that kind of stopped, because when she left to do secular, she still had the sound. What she was singing still had so much soul and spirit in it. It was like folks said, you know what, we can deal with this. But Ray Charles got beat up, Sam Cooke got beat up, Donny Hathaway got beat up. But
the
Winans, yeah. But Aretha was like, yeah, but folks kind of left Aretha alone, you know, and after that,
were scared of her.
They were scared of the diva. That's right,
dude. Man, hey, that has a lot to do with it. That woman did not hold her tongue. I mean, listen, you didn't just approach Aretha to introduce yourself. You asked somebody in her orbit if you could be introduced. To her. You didn't just walk up on her, man, because she was not the one. I mean, if she was not in the right mood, in the right headspace, you would soon find out.
You soon find out. And draw back a nub. I know that's right.
I'm telling you. So I just believe some people didn't try her because they didn't want the repercussions. You dig?
Yeah.
And I'm happy. I mean, I'm glad that she was forceful enough in her attitude and in her manner to relay the message that don't come for me, because I got something for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Reverend Kevin Whalum. Kevin, good to talk to you, man. Give your brother and your family my love, man. And
absolutely, brother. I appreciate it. And look, keep doing what you're doing on Make It Plain, because if ever there was a time to have it made plain, my brother, it is right now.
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you, man. And let's stay in close touch, man, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin. God bless you too, man. Kevin Whalum, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come right back. Michael Eric Dyson is going to join us, a close friend of Aretha Franklin's. Don't go away. Sirius XM Progress 127, Resistance Radio. Get woke. Get ready for impeachment. In heaven, get ready for the Queen. She's on her way, Aretha Franklin. This is MIP. All Aretha all morning, y'all, as we remember the Queen of Soul, one of the greatest singers of our time. Joining us now, another close friend of Aretha Franklin, the Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Doctor, good morning, man.
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. Been watching you on TV last night and all of your eloquence regarding the Queen. How you feeling this morning, man?
Man, I'm encouraged by the outpouring of love and respect for this great icon, the greatest singer, I think, of the 20th century, the greatest singer our ears have heard, a once-in-a-century talent, a woman of enormous significance, not only in terms of her music, but in terms of how she inspired the civil rights movement, the feminist movement, and, you know, ordinary people to keep going. That's the kind of genius she had and that she generously shared with her people.
You know, I was watching on Lawrence O'Donnell last night, and you were poking fun at Smokey Robinson. And how Aretha could take his songs and she could take Otis Redding's song, Respect, and once she took those songs, they were hers. They couldn't get them back no more, could they?
No, man, they were gone. She wasn't renting, Doc. She was playing to win. You know how you could rent the old? She was owning them
Yeah.
from the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when she took Otis Redding's song, and he said it with admiration. He said, and he did a great job. Otis Redding was a genius himself.
Mm-hmm.
But when he heard what she did with his song, spelled out the word respect, Respect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, she gave tremendous value and utter gravity to a song that was already deep, but she made it deeper.
Yeah.
You know, when Skylark was sung by the great Sarah Vaughan, when Aretha sang it, she said, I ain't singing that song no more. It's done.
Uh-huh.
So that's the kind of great, even other great singers recognized her genius.
Yeah. No, she was something. And speaking of respect too, man, you know, when you think about it, it was really about our movement, but it was also because it was a woman singing it. You could almost say that was Aretha's introduction of the Me Too movement back in the day.
Hey, no doubt about that, man. She was saying, look, take me seriously. And let's be honest, we knew she had been through some tremendous, you know, difficulties in her relationship, her marriage to Ted White, and the violence that was supposedly done there, and the domestic violence she endured, her early trauma, you know, as a teen mother and so on. So, yeah, she was making a declaration of independence and an assertion that women's lives matter, and we have to take these issues seriously.
Yeah, no question about it. How did you come to know her, Dr. Dyson?
Well, man, she cited me in a concert, which, you know, it blew my mind. I'm sitting there listening to the Queen of Soul, and she called out Michael Eric Dyson. And, man, I was astonished. And then when I went to see her afterwards to introduce myself, she says, like, I don't know who Michael Eric Dyson is. I'm telling you, look, I've had a lot of recognition and compliments, but that ranks at the top of the list, man.
Yeah.
And we were friends for the last nearly 15 years, and she was an extraordinarily generous woman, a very curious woman intellectually.
Mm-hmm.
She would call me up and ask me about archaeological digs on biblical sites and what they were producing and the old narratives, the Dead Sea Scrolls. I mean, that's the kind of stuff she was interested in, man.
Mm-hmm.
And politics and culture. She didn't miss anything, and her mind was as bright as her voice was great.
You're a historian, among other things. Lawrence O'Donnell calls me an amateur historian, but Professor, I want to put a thesis out there and have you evaluate it. There has been no other performer to successfully translate every single genre of our music other than Aretha Franklin. Spiritual, gospel, blues and jazz, rhythm and blues, rock and roll, soul, even when she sang classical in place of Pavarotti. There really hasn't been another one that could cross across all of those genres, has it?
Not to her level of greatness. I mean, Ray Charles was a close second because he could, country and everything.
Yeah, he did country, right.
But with the ferocity of Aretha Franklin, he ain't done no opera.
Right.
And Ray was a bad man, Doc. Ray Charles was a bad man. Look, the greatest singers. Look. Rolling Stone. What did they name? They named Aretha Franklin the greatest singer ever
of all time. Right.
Number 2, I think number 2 was Ray Charles. It should have been either Ray Charles or Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
Because Sam Cooke was beyond this world. They put Elvis number 3. I'm like, slow down with that. I mean, and Elvis wasn't, I know a lot of black people think, things about Elvis, but Elvis was a genius, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But you ain't number 3 on the list, homeboy. You ain't number 3. You behind Ray Charles and certainly Sam Cooke. But anyway, she was the absolute past master of every genre, and she could translate it powerfully and intelligently. And on top of that, she could play that piano. I mean, we knew Ray Charles could play the piano, but a lot of people didn't know she was a soulful, great pianist.
Yeah.
And went back later in her life and took up more piano.
That's right.
Playing at Juilliard. So this woman's relentless quest for excellence was unparalleled. The greatest singer ever, and certainly the sound she made exemplified the soul, the passion, the ardor, the love, the hurt, the pain, every emotion. The diapason stop, as they say, was out. She just covered every range of emotion, of intelligence, and reflection that black people offered that music could capture.
Yeah. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, folks, as we remember Aretha Franklin. Doctor, appreciate you spending these moments with me, man. Long live the Queen, okay?
Long live the Queen, my brother. Thank you for doing this, and I love you for it, sir.
All right, love you too, man. Let's talk soon, all right?
All right, God bless.
All right, take care now. Michael Eric Dyson, folks. All right, folks, your remembrances of Queen Aretha, 866-99-SIRIUS. We're still taking your calls. Give us a call. We've got other folk that are going to call in, so just stay tuned. All Aretha all morning is what we're talking about. We're going to do a couple other things, too, we need to take care of. But do not go away. Don't forget the SiriusXM channel all weekend and all through next week. At least Soul Town Channel 49 has been turned into the Aretha Franklin channel here on SiriusXM. SiriusXM Progress 127. Resistance Radio. Get woke. Get ready for impeachment. And Kevin, get ready for the Queen. This is MIP. Top of the hour. We do need to cover a little bit of news today, you all, and we will do just that. 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. All Aretha all morning. Your favorite memory of Aretha Franklin, too. Give us a call, 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. Joining us now, she is one of the most sought-after voices on the scene right now. You saw her on The Voice. She is Teresa Griffin. She joins us now. Teresa, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm just fine, just fine. We're remembering the Queen of Soul this morning. How are you feeling about that?
Really broken up. I can't imagine any young singer who grew up when I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like the 70 baby, and so it's just I'm distraught, but at the same time, I'm happy that she's not suffering anymore. It's just selfish that I'd never want her to leave, you know?
Yeah. We never want them to go away, do we?
Yeah.
How much of an influence has she been on you in your career?
Oh, my God, I cannot even say that how my father would let us listen to. My father was a minister. I grew up in Louisiana, and my father would let us listen to Aretha Franklin. But you really couldn't, that he loved C.L. Franklin. So
right.
It was just wonderful to hear that voice, but singing something other than gospel. And I met her on more than one occasion. Yes, I sang backup for like 20 years with Jerry Iceman Butler. I literally was illegal when I started singing backup with him.
What?
And I remember they were doing a tribute to Curtis Mayfield right before he passed, and Aretha and Jerry Butler performed, and he let me sing My Funny Valentine. And when I came off stage, her hairdresser came and got me and took me to her dressing room, and she said, "Girl, you got some riffs on you."
Really?
And I was just so finished, and she said, "Okay, that'll be all."
I know that's right. She was still the queen and the diva. Well, how old were you, Teresa?
Oh my God, that happened when I was 18.
Wow.
That was amazing.
Teresa, it's a small world, all these connections. Now, if you sang with Jerry Butler, my father saw you. My father's gone now. He worshiped the ground Jerry Butler walked on. So he must.
I still do.
He must have encountered you. I said to Jerry once when I met him, I said, "Don't die." He said, "What you mean?" I said, "Because you're not gonna get no rest in heaven with my father. He's gonna talk you to death. You are not gonna rest in peace." I'm telling you, my father, Jerry Butler. That's all he talked about.
Tell him today, don't you? You know I'm going to tell him just what you just said.
Yeah, man, because I told him that myself. Whatever you do, don't die. Because Paul Thompson is waiting for you to talk your head off. I remember he and my stepmother got in a fight about who was better, Jerry Butler or James Brown, because she worshiped James Brown. And so he was breaking down, Jerry Butler's better than James Brown, which I don't even know why anybody would need to have an argument about. You could have both of them. We can have everybody. Okay. but be that as it may, no, that must have been a blessing for you to meet Aretha. And it's interesting you mentioned, and that makes sense now, because I was talking with Kevin Whalum and a couple other people about this, that your dad being a preacher, because of his respect for C.L. Franklin, Reverend C.L. Franklin, Aretha's father, that you would be able to listen. It seems to me that because of her dad, people didn't trip as much about her going secular. I know some did a little bit, but with other folk, people just lost them at Sam Cooke. I mean, people just went crazy. You can't lead a church. You can't sing outside of the church.
Yes.
And I'm gonna maybe I shouldn't say this. I know our mutual.
It's still kind of there. It's still kind of there. It's not as people don't talk about it as much, but you better not switch over. You better not start out gospel and think you're going to switch over to secular.
Yeah. But Aretha did it. And I think she was so good, and it was still so much spirituality in her singing. I mean, what could you do to stop it?
Well, that's crazy because anytime somebody can say, "Don't sing that song for me," brings back memories. Like, oh yes, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that ain't good. And then you go, oh, that ain't. Oh, who is she talking about? But it's too late because you're.
It's too late because you're gone.
Yeah.
Well, listen. See, to be honest with you, so you and I in the same generation, obviously. So I've been saying we all probably exist because of Aretha. I mean, anybody born in the past 50 years probably owes Aretha their existence because it wasn't a courtship, it wasn't a marriage, it wasn't a romance where there wasn't an Aretha Franklin song. And I'm talking about black folk and white folk. All right,
all of them. Because her concerts were mixed.
Yeah,
that's what people need to understand. You know, soul transforms color. It blinds you to everything.
Yeah.
When it's great soul, it blinds you to everything. And she had that. I mean, I was on her last project, and I was just when I got the project in my hand and I opened up the notes and I saw my name, I just cried because I got to sing some of the backgrounds and range on I Will Survive because of another producer, Terry Hunter, that I work with that was on her, that co-produced some of the stuff on her last project. And it was like a dream, it was a dream come true. And while I knew all of her singers, it was always I'd meet her here, I'd meet her there.
Right.
And this, to be on her project, with my name on it, let me put it that way, it was the most amazing. But to lose her, to lose every little black girl who was very soulful, we don't have to apologize for our soul because of Aretha Franklin. Aretha's soulful, and when she sings, and as an African American singer, they're kind of throwing us out, and we have to apologize for being so soulful. You got to sing this way to be on radio. But Aretha basically said to us, her voice said to us, don't apologize for your soul.
Yeah. Just
keep singing.
That's you in the pulpit now. That's a powerful statement, and I hadn't really thought about it like that. I'm glad you said that. You all can sing. Aretha gives you the freedom and the agency and the license to sing in that way. So that's a powerful statement. You've also recorded her song "Oh Me, Oh My," haven't you?
Yes, my God. And people, I've been singing it. I heard it because I had to learn a bunch of music when I first came to Chicago that I just didn't know in order to work on the scene. And I happened to be flipping through a ton of Aretha stuff, and I heard, "To make you laugh, I'd be a fool for you." And I said, oh, my God, what is that? What is that song? And I just started learning it, and I opened every show with it. And then I finally recorded it on my last CD, and that was the CD that people started playing on the air. And I was like, is this freaky or what? But the people always ask me, I can't get off stage without singing "Oh Me, Oh My."
Yeah. No, it's beautiful, and your rendition is beautiful. And you're beautiful too, Teresa. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I appreciate your emotion in remembering Aretha. This is really, we're all just blessed to be able to say that we got a chance to walk the earth while she walked the earth. And,
oh my God, what a blessing it has been!
And just to touch the hem of her garment,
just touch the hem of her garment, and to know that now she gets to touch the hem of God's garment.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
It's just even more of a blessing. People, I'm sad that she's gone, but I am so happy that the Heavenly Choir just got their director, their lead singer. I'm like, oh my goodness. You got a reason now to say, when I go, I'm going to be singing with Aretha.
Yeah.
I try to look at it if there's any way to look at it, it's why I want an angel to suffer. And I don't want that angel to suffer. I want her to keep singing.
Yeah. Well, look,
my dad's awful happy right now.
Oh, I know that's
He's
right.
Happy right now. He probably done talked C.L. Franklin's ear off. So.
Well, you remind Jerry what I said. You said,
I'm telling you, when we get off the phone, I'm going to call Jerry. I'm going to call him and say, look, now I know you're going to remember this. And he's going to be like, what is she doing now? He walked me down the aisle. When I say that when my father passed right after an article, and my father used to visit the sick and shut-in. So right after this article came out about Aretha Franklin at the Airy Crown, and I had sang My Funny Valentine, my father died a year after that. And the sick and shut-in that testified at his service, now we had testimony because I'm from Louisiana, they talked about how he walked around with the clip of that article in his wallet, and he would read it to them. So it gave me confirmation that he had accepted my choice to sing secular music. So I tell you, she's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember.
Amen, amen.
And we're all going to miss her because nobody cannot say that they have an Ain't No Way or, you know, Gotta Find Me an Angel. Nobody can say they haven't
as I'm saying,
had one of those songs, even if it's just a little bit. R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Just a little bit.
There's not even little babies run around saying R-E-S-P-E-C-T, and they don't know nothing about it.
Right. That's the beautiful thing. And all of us can remember where we were and what we were doing, at who we were with. You know, and especially for folk like you and me. I mean, because it makes us think of our parents, you know, and it's just some beautiful memories. Just before you came on, I was joking about how even in her songs, so you, even as a dude singing along with her songs, you don't change the words. Each morning I wake up before I put on my makeup. I'm not supposed to be saying that, but you can't.
Not makeup. but
it's just what it is. You know, that's the song.
If you're on TV and you're on air, every now and then, before you put on your makeup, you say a little prayer. It's okay. It's okay.
And I don't even wear makeup. That's right. That's right. Teresa Griffin, you're wonderful. You're wonderful. So good to talk to you. And hopefully soon we can talk again sometime and reminisce. God bless you, okay?
God bless you, too. And thank you for doing this for Aretha.
All right.
She's smiling, baby. I tell you, she's smiling and laughing and eating some ribs.
Yeah. Amen. I'm sure she is. Take care, Teresa. All right, God bless you. Take care now. 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. As we are taking some time to remember Aretha Franklin, and we've got some others who are going to be sharing their remembrances as well. But we do need to cover a bit of news, obviously, a lot going on, and we may even get a verdict today in the Paul Manafort trial. So that'll be interesting if that happens. 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-99-74748. The deputy director of extremism at Media Matters, though, is going to join us now, and we do well to talk to Christina, especially now after what happened last week in Washington, D.C. on the anniversary of Charlottesville. Christina Lopez joins us now from MediaMatters.org. Christina, good morning. How are you?
Pleasure to be here. I'm really well. How are you?
Just fine. It's good to talk to you, and happy to have you. So the Unite the Right piece kind of flamed out in terms of numbers.
It kind of fizzled out. You could see by all accounts that organization is definitely not their forte.
Yeah. But correct me if I'm wrong, and this is sort of an analogy I drew. Their presence on social media is still pretty strong, even if it's not quantitative. It makes a lot of noise, and they kind of use their Twitter handles and avatars and all that, and Facebook accounts, kind of is a modern day KKK hood to me, Christina, because they can hide behind that. They don't have to come out in public. Some of those who came out last weekend on Sunday tried to cover their faces, and we were like, why don't you just put the hood on? That's what the people who got this going used to do. That's what the hood was for. I guess they were too dumb to know that. So even though there was 24 people out there, their presence is still pretty apparent on social media, isn't it?
That's actually a great analogy. And the issue is that for a long time, Twitter, and not only Twitter, also Facebook, allowed these these people without actual faces with avatars that would mask their identity to just fester unchecked on the platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue is that even after taking action and going on to swiftly suspend accounts,
Mm-hmm.
these accounts keep popping up under new avatars, under new identities, and they're very easy to recognize. And despite being reported, Twitter still takes time to take action. And in the meantime, the people behind these accounts are not only organizing with people with similar thoughts, but also radicalizing others online and pretty much
Right.
evangelizing.
Yeah.
Or directing targeted harassment against people that they, oppress minorities, or just simply people that they don't share opinions with.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that. So what's up with that? Why is Twitter so loath to just shut that down?
This is a PR problem that Twitter has, and the issue is that they have believed the conservative false narrative that any action against hate speech equals, for some reason, censorship, or that it is an attack on the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And in this way, they have forced tech platforms to go on defense for something that, in the first place, they don't have the power to do. As you know, the First Amendment doesn't cover the actions of privates, right? And the issue is that in the way that it's being manipulated by conservatives and the media narrative that has been pretty much incepted at this point has obligated tech platforms to go on defense and act really, really carefully before taking actions against people who have very clearly violated the terms of service, the terms and conditions of their platforms. And so at this point, any action that they take for speech that is very clearly racist, or for speech that is very clearly inciting violence or threatening or offensive to protected groups, any action that they take, it doesn't take very long to hear the conservative outrage that in fact it's just suppression for
Right.
their conservative views, when that's not really what's happening.
No, not at all. Not at all. Christina Lopez, Director of Extremism, Media Matters. Christina, does Alex Jones fall under your purview in terms of extremism? Does he fall in that category? Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
this is the thing. Not all extremism is necessarily in the way that we're thinking about it as neo-Nazis or neo-Confederates or necessarily the alt-right. The reason Alex Jones fits very well into our category of extremism is because in the way that he talks and in the way that his conspiracy theories go viral, he is inciting others to violence, and he is inciting others to action. And several times he has actually pantomimed killing someone on camera and then tries to hide under the "it's a joke" defense, when in reality you don't know what could be influencing the massive audiences that he reached. And for the longest time, it was platforms that were complicit in this abnormal reach, because in a way they were helping him reach more people because of their algorithms that make viral things that are just gaining momentum and allow them to reach people that they wouldn't have normally reached.
Yeah.
So after some time, Alex Jones became a gigantic media enterprise, and InfoWars became a gigantic media enterprise, and they wouldn't have become that without the aid of algorithms and tech platforms that for the longest time benefited and profited from having this person spew hate and conspiracy theories that definitely have an impact on real life and in the real world. If not, the parents of many Sandy Hook victims wouldn't be suing him for emotional distress and for libel. After so many years, still these parents receive harassment, and it comes from the conspiracy theories that Alex Jones has spewed on air.
So what is, help me understand, because it's a little confusing. What is Twitter doing with him? They're treating this as though this is disciplining a child. They put him in timeout. Did they actually call it that?
You are actually not the only person that is confused, and it leads me to wonder whether this is intentional on the side of Twitter, on whether Twitter wants in this situation to have their cake and eat it too, because after most platforms took action against Alex Jones, that kind of like created a domino effect, because it was all for things that institutions like Media Matters had been pointing out for years, well documented, and many instances in which the stuff that Alex Jones did on platforms did not seem to align with the terms of service and conditions that are enforced on everybody else. So after every platform took action, Twitter appeared alone in the corner and was trying to play this game of claiming that they are the arbiters of free speech, or that they are in fact the public square in which free speech is respected, and that any sanction against Alex Jones would have gone against that principle. That became untenable after not only Media Matters, but also CNN started pointing out many instances in which Alex Jones hadn't played by the rules. So by their own words, Twitter had been saying that unless he violated any of their terms and conditions, taking action against him would have been going against the First Amendment. But then after many people pointed out the many ways in which Alex Jones throughout the years, and even recently, had violated terms and conditions on their platforms, which are Twitter and Periscope, they gave them no choice, but they had to at least be seen as taking some sort of action. And so to try to straddle this very confusing line, they pretty much, as you said, put him on timeout by suspending use of his account for 7 days, which means that unless he deletes the tweets that caused the infraction, a countdown starts for 7 days in which he's pretty much like locked out of his account, where he can't really use his account to broadcast on Periscope or tweet out. And then he can come back and regain full use of his platform and the massive reach that he has of many audiences. However, this is the trick part. They blocked his personal account, but he was still making appearances on the InfoWars Periscope. And at times he would show up on the Periscope of his other show, The War Room. So it's pretty much like whack-a-mole, where if they don't actually take action in a way that is structured and intentional, this is just symbolic. And like you said, it's like putting a child on timeout, and doesn't really have the effects that it should have.
Yeah.
They're pretty much showing a playbook of how to circumvent terms and conditions.
Yeah, and obviously we need to figure out a way to stay on top of all of this and hold Twitter. Well, how do we hold Twitter accountable? What do you think, Christina?
I think there are many activists out there who are doing that, thank God. And I think in a sense, Twitter, like any other tech company, is a brand, and they are not impervious to the effects or the image of enabling extremists and radicals and white nationalists, and they know that, and that is why I believe that reporting on Twitter and using the mechanisms available to flag extremist speech and hate speech are still valuable, and are still what people on Twitter who want this platform to become a safe space for discussion of ideas. I think most people want that. And so making use of the tools available to report harassment are still a great way of doing that. I believe that on the other side, tech platforms should be receptive to the organizations that have the data and have the research of the instances in which their platforms have enabled others. I believe that if they're receptive to that, we can achieve a place in which hate speech isn't a thing that traffics in.
Yeah. Very, very important. And we have a lot of work to do in this regard. Christina Lopez is leading a great deal of that work through her activist journalism and her chronicling of really just the facts. That's what Media Matters does every day, MediaMatters.org. Christina Lopez is the deputy director of extremism. Christina, wait a minute, let me do this. So, am I saying your name correctly? Because I notice there's a G.
You are.
There's a G on the end of your name, right?
Yeah, that's for my next last name.
Okay. So you don't want me to say that one too?
Yeah, Christina Lopez.
This Christina Lopez. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. She's the deputy director of extremism at MediaMatters.org, folks. So follow her and check her out. Another great piece she has up now about Jason Kessler and this false equivalence. They put him. NPR had him on with the Black Lives Matter activists.
Yes, as if
Black
Lives Matter had by any. It was ludicrous to me that NPR could think that they were equivalent in any sense. And what's problematic really is that they delegated the responsibility of fact-checking or actually explaining what's wrong with Jason Kessler to a Black Lives Matter activist. And that is in no way their job.
Yeah. Christina, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Always good to talk to you. Keep up the great work, okay?
You too. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care now. 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. Continuing our remembrances of Aretha Franklin, too, folks. What are your favorite memories of Aretha? Michael's in the Bronx. Michael, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke. And heaven, get ready for Aretha. What say you, Michael? What's your favorite memory of Aretha Franklin?
Oh, Mark, I can't believe she's gone, man, because I was hoping for the best. I was hoping that there'd be some kind of miracle so I could personally thank her for one particular song that she made, and that is, and you played a bit of it earlier, United Together, her first hit on the Arista label, 1980, when she switched from Atlantic to Arista. But because the thing is that my wife and I, when we were planning our wedding, we would do not one but two wedding dances. And she picked one to open up the reception, which was the Temptations' This Is My Promise. Mm-hmm. And then I picked the other one to close out the reception, and that was Aretha, United Together. I kept searching up and down. And when I listened to the words, the music, and that voice, that heavenly, angelic voice, even to this day, even before Aretha's health problems, the song is a tearjerker. It really is. And when I was on hold waiting to speak with you, I gotta admit that I started crying even more.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just, so just heartfelt. And people don't realize that it's not just the music. Everywhere you go, people know of Aretha Franklin. She's appeared on Saturday Night Live as a music guest when Nancy Kerrigan, the Olympic skater, hosted. She appeared several times on Soul Train. She was on Solid Gold. She was even on the sitcom Murphy Brown as a guest star because Murphy Brown, if you recall that episode, she was a big fan of Aretha Franklin, and Aretha appeared to sing a little bit towards the end of the show. And she was even in the sports arena, opening up WWE WrestleMania 3 in 1987 with America the Beautiful, and they even recently singing at an NFL game, opening up the national anthem in the way she knows how.
Yeah.
There is no duplicating Aretha Franklin. If she can just hear me, Miss Reed, thank you so much for the beautiful music, and thank you for being, even though it was a distance, a special part in my life and my wife's life, and a special part at our wedding. It was great to have your voice at our wedding as we danced to your song.
Amen. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you, buddy. Folks, please share your favorite memories of Aretha Franklin, 866-99-SIRIUS. SiriusXM Soul Town has become the Aretha Franklin channel. SiriusXM Channel 49, Soul Town, has become the Aretha Franklin tribute channel. So be sure to check that out as well. Yeah. And hey, folks, let's say it's Saturday morning, your college team is preparing for another football game while you're preparing for another letdown because your TV provider doesn't provide your team's game. Dish has heard your need for more college football. Did you know with Dish, you can get every major Division I football game no matter where you live? That includes games from the Big Ten, Pac-12, SEC, and Longhorn networks. Dish Listens is how they stay tuned into you. Programming, features, and functionality subject to change, requires America's top 120 plus and multi-sport package. Multi-sport package included with packages starting at $69.99 at no additional cost through January 2nd, 2019. To learn more, dial 1-844 call DISH, visit dish.com, or find a local retailer near you. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come right back. More of your favorite memories of the great Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, right here on Sirius XM Progress 127, Resistance Radio. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. And heaven, get ready for the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. 25 minutes before the hour. This is MIP. We're remembering the life of Aretha Franklin and hearing from all of you your favorite memories of Aretha Franklin. You just heard one of her friends, two of them actually, Michael Eric Dyson and Roland Martins, talk about how Aretha couldn't stand Donald Trump. And he tweeted yesterday that she worked for me. That's what he said. She worked for me. That's how he refers to Aretha Franklin. She, like the Queen of Soul, worked for anyone. Not to mention the fact That's how he thinks of everyone. Everyone's a commodity that works for him, including Paul Manafort. Huh? Jury is deliberating now. Try to get an idea of what's going on there. And I have a very specific question for my guest on that score. Max Bergman joins us once again from the MoscowProject.org. Max, how are you this morning, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Just fine. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
I know you've been watching the trial, and the latest piece at the site too is Manafort's corruption right at home on the Trump campaign. And this trial doesn't get that much into the Russia stuff. But how do you think this is going to turn out? What do you think the jury is going to do, Max?
Well, look, jury trials, you can sort of never confidently predict what 12 people are going to come to a unanimous decision. I think what's clear is that the prosecution, based on the preponderance of evidence, clearly nailed Paul Manafort. And nailed him for financial crimes, for money laundering, for tax evasion, and it sort of exposed him for what I think he for what he is, which is an extremely corrupt individual. Mm-hmm. And in that way, in some ways, they exposed Paul Manafort for effectively being a mirror image of Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. What they identified is Paul Manafort. And this trial doesn't really go into the campaign, doesn't go into the Russia investigation, but what it does is sort of provide kind of the important background about how you can understand how this all happened, how the collusion during the campaign happened. Because here's Paul Manafort, who gets sucked into the vortex of Russian oligarch money when he works in Ukraine, and he's getting all of these millions of dollars, needs to launders them through banks in Cyprus. And, in 2014, he loses his job because that's when the Ukrainian government collapses, when there's a revolution, and the corrupt dictator or autocratic president that he's working for is forced to flee to Russia. And so Manafort's down on his luck, can't access his money because the FBI is on to him, and checks himself into a clinic, and yet then a year later is running the Trump campaign, and running the Trump campaign as a volunteer, is not even getting paid. And so you kind of have to wonder, if Manafort was willing to do all these corrupt things before joining the campaign, did he just become squeaky clean when he got to the campaign? So what this trial really does is demonstrate a pattern of corrupt behavior. And what you then have to, so it raises, it sort of proves that, but then raises all these questions about, well, if he was corrupt then, wasn't he corrupt during the campaign? Why did he join the campaign? What was prompted him to be on the campaign? Did he do any favors for Russia while he was on the campaign? And so I think those questions will likely be answered at a later date.
And you're right. The connection to Russia really in this trial is through the money that he obtained and the way he tried to launder it. That was definitely Russian money. Defense didn't lift a finger hardly. Is that I mean, I'm telling you, man, that was deep. Now, I gave the audience some advice. When y'all ever go to trial and defense rests without calling a single, not testify against yourself, but if your defense rests without calling a single witness, you going to prison. I just want you to know that 9 times out of 10. But did they also rest so abruptly, do you think, Max, because they're expecting a pardon?
There's a lot of speculation about what Manafort is up to here. Now, when you don't put up a defense at your trial, which can put you away for multiple decades, that seems really odd to me. If I was innocent and I was being put on trial for, I would fight like tooth and nail. Right. I would call every witness I could. I think that's part. I think Manafort definitely is seeking a pardon, would love one, and we saw that from his original attorney when he was first indicted. Sort of came out and gave a public statement that was basically, there's no other way to read it, but they, sort of praise of Trump and a sort of a request for a pardon. I also think Manafort might just be wanting to, he has another trial coming up in September. So, I think wait for the trials to go forward, then maybe the pardon push comes. And Manafort, I think what's clear is Manafort knows that this is all going to come to a head at a certain point for Trump himself. So at a certain point, Mueller is going to go to Trump, going to sort of release his report. And at that point, if Trump survives that, then there's going to be no constraints on Trump. And I think Manafort's efforts to get a pardon are long term. They're not just focused on the next month. He's sort of willing to do some time in jail, and then in the hopes that he can get out, a year from now. And then there's also been speculation that Manafort has a lot to worry about from the Russians, from shady underworld figures, and so doesn't want to be seen as quote unquote a snitch, not so much because of Trump, but because of the potential exposure it could give him to a country that is known to assassinate people in places like the United Kingdom. So that could also be on Manafort's mind. But there's a lot of different theories and speculation. But right now, what's clear is that Manafort was nailed, and the question is just whether the jury is going to see it that way.
Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. Somebody was trying to explain this to me the other day. I didn't quite get it. Max Bergman with us folks quarter before the hour. I hope you can make sense out of it or verify whether it's true or not. Max, if one is pardoned, can one no longer invoke the Fifth Amendment?
Yes, that is my understanding. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding is the problem for Trump of pardoning Manafort is that then Manafort, has he can't sort of take the Fifth if being asked questions by prosecution because he's not subject to criminal jeopardy. And so in doing so would be obstructing justice. And therefore would then be subject to additional criminal penalties. So I think that is one of the major deterrents for Trump to actually issuing pardons. That he starts issuing them, then suddenly all these people have free reign to talk and might as well talk to avoid any sort of additional legal repercussions. The other thing for Manafort is that many of his crimes were committed under state jurisdictions, especially in New York State. So pardoning Manafort, and this is the speculation has been out there, and the previous New York Attorney General Snyderman, there was reports of him investigating Manafort, that if Manafort were to be pardoned, that wouldn't alleviate, that it would be a federal pardon, and Manafort could be subject to state prosecution as well. So, the legal jeopardy for Paul Manafort is, it is extensive. And so, that's one of the reasons why people are sort of questioning whether he really wants a pardon, because he could still be prosecuted by New York.
Yeah, and he would not be able to plead the Fifth, as you said, in other matters, thereby exposing him to obstruction. So bottom line is, Manafort may not ever get out of jail. He can go to jail for these crimes, and then, as you said, be undergo further legal exposure if he's pardoned, tries to plead the Fifth, and is accused of obstruction. So he's in a vice.
Yeah.
Now if it was me, I'd be cutting all kind of deals. But like you said, maybe he's afraid of getting his head chopped off or something.
The other thing, so this is one trial. This is the first trial of Paul Manafort. There's a follow-on trial coming up in D.C. In September. But there may also be additional potential indictments of Paul Manafort for a whole host of activities that he committed during the campaign. That Robert Mueller is sort of keeping in his pocket. So, the full extent of Manafort's legal jeopardy is something that we don't know, that only Robert Mueller knows. So, I think my assumption is that this is sort of the beginning of a long legal process for Paul Manafort. unless, after this trial, he starts to try to cut a deal with Robert Mueller. That is one theory that, he's going to see if he can get through this trial, and if not, then maybe he'll cut a deal. And that's been known to happen, but we shall see.
Yeah. Max Bergman, folks, of the Moscow Project, doing great work as always. Folks, be sure to check out the Moscow Project. Keep up with what's going on. And again, we're going to be talking with Max on an even more regular basis. So stay tuned. Max, thank you, man. Okay?
No, thanks a lot.
And enjoy your weekend.
You too.
All right. Take care. We're remembering Aretha Franklin, folks. Just a few more moments left in the show. Publicist, counsel, consigliere to the stars, joining us now, Michael Peary.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Nephew of Mavis Staples.
Yeah, that's my cousin. That's my cousin.
Cousin, I'm sorry, not nephew.
No problem. Just an amazing. Aretha Franklin was an amazing woman, and as a child, being in my family with the Staples, growing up, and you never know who you would see at my Uncle Pop Staples' home at any given moment, from Stevie Wonder to Reverend Jesse Jackson, but the day when I was 11 years old and I met Aretha Franklin, I was 11, never forget it. And it was she was that presence. You're singing these songs. It's like when you say, before I put on my makeup, and I was like, it wasn't no little boy singing about that, but it was Aretha. And you just sang respect. You just sang those songs with such conviction. But the thing that I remember the most about that meeting was she was in the kitchen at the table eating. And you're thinking, this is Aretha Franklin. But then at the same time, she was a real down home, no nonsense, just a person, just having a conversation with her good friend, my cousin Mavis Staples. And it blows my mind when Aretha would say how they met. And she did it in a song when she did One Faith, One Lord, One Baptism back in 1987, that amazing gospel album. Yeah. She said, just as plain, Mark, we met on a Mississippi road one night. And that within itself was talking about the movement, about how everyone came together during that period of time, and there was no fear. There was fear, but there was no fear, if that makes sense, because they were out there. It was like my uncle, when Pops used to say, if Dr. King could preach it, the Staple Singers could sing it. Aretha Franklin could sing it, okay? And that's what they did. That's what they did. They sure had the platform. They had the platform, and they utilized it to the best of their ability in that time.
Michael Peary with us, folks. Also joining us now, I believe, we have your mentor in mind, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Reverend?
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Michael Peary's on the line too, Reverend.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, sir.
How you making out, Reverend? I know this is tough for you.
It's really tough. When they had prayer with Aretha, I guess day before yesterday, and to be able to hold her arm while it was still warm and to rub her forehead and to have prayer with her was a lot to walk away from,
Yeah.
But she leaves such an awesome legacy of music. And I was just telling Shelley, music that's not race or gender degrading. She bring all the music back to our community.
Yeah.
Beside the music, which was, such talent she had, was the movement. She invested in our movement. Gender equality, racial justice, in the war. Stand with Dr. King, stand with Mandela, stand with Barack.
And she helped to raise money for the movement too, didn't she?
When that she did in 11 city tour, we had no money. We couldn't make it. And she and Bella funded the 11 city tour. And on that tour, we got to Houston, put gas and tear gas in the vans. We had to evacuate the place.
Is that right?
Yeah, she right on singing.
How did you first meet her?
Well, she was on the road with her dad doing gospel music. So her first record was Never Grow Old.
Yeah.
And from Never Grow Old to Ave Maria, she did the range of music. Then she promoted other artists like Ava Sunshine down in Atlanta, Georgia. Another singer at her events. The Williams Brothers, Audrey DuBois, Harris, we met her through Aretha. And she always promoted other artists as well.
Amen. Amen.
But one thing that concerns me today is that artists like Aretha wouldn't stand a chance today because whether it's Aretha or Diana Ross, these artists can't get on the radio today. If they don't curse enough and degrade black people enough, they can get on the radio.
Yeah, right. They can't do it at all. And as Therese was saying to us too, Michael, some folk don't even want you to sing soulful anymore. They want you to sing more of a pop voice. So you couldn't do it.
They stifle you, Mark, and that was the essence of who Aretha Franklin was. Her and Mavis, that genre of singer, to be able just to sing from the soul, from the spirit. And I know Reverend could attest to that. They were just who they were.
Yeah.
They just sang.
Gentlemen,
the other advantage that Aretha had was she grew up, her and Mavis Staples and Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers and Albertina Walker and the Caravans. She grew up around the greatest musicians of her time. So in addition to her own gift, she grew up in an environment that lent itself to development. We thank praise God for Aretha.
Amen.
Earth lost a lot of music yesterday, and heaven gained a lot.
Amen. The Reverend Jesse Jackson and Michael Perry, I'm afraid we're out of time. Brothers, thank you both. And I know we'll be in touch on whatever arrangements, okay? And stay in. God bless you, Reverend Jackson. We're praying for you. And praying for Aretha.
Appreciate you, Mark.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you both very, very much. If all minds are clear, it has been made plain.